time to put that hand to what will move you forward. We're not looking back, and there ain't no stopping us now. What awaits you is right in front. It's something new, and it's just for you. So join me for that new thing, starting now on A New Thing Live. Hello and welcome to A New Thing Live. I wish that music would just keep going. Bump, 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 ba-da, ba-da, bump, bump, bump. I'm totally feeling it back here, but then by the time it goes away and I come out, there is no music. So we're going to have to fix that and work on that. But hey, welcome to our show. It's Monday night. It's April 4th. My goodness. But I hope you're having a great start of the week. My name is Cyndi Galley, and I am the host of this new fun show where we encourage you to do that new thing, that one new thing. It doesn't always have to be a creative thing. It could just be something like, hey, I need to change my eating habits, or hey, I need to stop spending the way that I do, or maybe I need to make some changes in the types of friends that I have, right? There's always something new that awaits us that will just take us from this place to that place. We always want to be improving. So that's what this show is all about. It is also about encouraging you in taking that step forward in launching your business, or writing that book, or starting that blog, or picking up that photography class you've always wanted to take. But regardless of why you are here, we're glad you're with us. I'm so glad that you're with us. So for those of you that are already a part of our family, you already know, get on the chat up on there, and just let us know where you're watching from. And we want you to be like just kind of dialoguing with us throughout the show. When we're talking about topics or sharing anything, just chime in and go, haha, that's so funny. Yeah. Or yeah, I thought the same thing. We just want to know that you're tracking along with us. And we always love when our viewers chat, whether it's YouTube or Facebook. And I want to say hello also to those of you that are watching us on Roku. We're so glad that you're with us. So, hey, before we get into tonight's show, and I am so excited about tonight, just just kind of talk about some things that are going on. So last night were the Grammys. I know last week we were on live. We're talking about the Oscars, which was a little painful. But last night it was the Grammys. And I have to say, like, my heart is like, okay, yes, there's a lot of mending. There was a lot of love, a lot of feels with the Grammys. We want to say congratulations to everybody that won. You know, one of the most moving things of all was that the Ukrainian President Zelensky, well, he came out on a pre-recorded video, and he gave just a real quick speech, just kind of more of a plea, just talking about like, hey, would you guys really tell the truth? I loved that. Would you tell the truth about what's going on out here in the Ukraine? Like, would you be honest with your social media and your news platforms, which I think we should be doing that anyway, not just because of the war, but I love that he used this opportunity. And I just want to give also a kudos to the Academy Awards producers for having him send in a pre-recorded video. So moving. And he asked the question, what is more opposite to music? The silence of ruined cities and killed people. It's like, wow. So if you haven't had a chance, head on over to YouTube. They do have some great recap videos on there, but just such a moving time. And again, just kudos to the Grammys executives and producers for putting on a beautiful, especially in light of everything that happened last week and then all the aftermath that's been going on. I just have to say, this just was a different tune altogether, and it was a lot of sentiment, a lot of emotion. Of course, none other than John Legend came, and he did a tribute vocally and on piano, a ballad to the Ukraine. It was a tribute, and they could have not picked a better person for that. I'm a huge fan of John Legend's music, so and his talent. He's so gifted, and his voice is like butter. It's like butter. So congratulations, Grammy Award winners. We are still praying for things going on between Russia and the Ukraine, and just be praying for the people, their protection, and that this war does soon come to an end. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit though. While we're kind of on the topic of live streaming, I don't know how many of you know this because I don't think I've announced it. However, I have been going live on Thursday nights from 5 to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And this is really for those of you, this announcement is for those of you that love designer handbags, the Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Christian Dior, some of the other beautiful couture, authentic bags. So I have been going live on air on VBS. It stands for Vietnamese Broadcasting System Television, VBS TV. And that is my co-host, Tam. We've been having a great time. And we have been selling, well, she sells jewelry. She's rocking the gorgeous diamonds and rubies and sapphires and platinum and white gold. And then I get to talk and sell maybe 10 purses. This is on Thursday night. So it's usually Chanel, but every now and then you might get a Christian Dior, Louis Vuitton, some of the other high-end bags, and for a really, really great price. So for those of you that are looking for something like authentic and beautiful, not a knockoff, not a fake, right? Not an imposter, but the real deal, chime on over with us. And let me just tell you, for those of you that have channels KJLA 57.6, KSCZ 16.8, of course, Android, Amazon Fire, LG Smart TV, all of those things, Google Play, YouTube, of course, Roku, all of that good stuff. We are there as well. So this is actually the first English show that they've had on their channel. They've just celebrated 10 years, or we've just celebrated 10 years, I should say. So I'm having a blast, and I've never really auctioned before, but it's fun. Now we are making some advances as we go. You know, for those of you that are maybe going to join this week or next week, and we are also on demand on YouTube. The purses, we don't actually get to touch them, so we're not holding them and we're not showing you what they look like and all of this. I'm hoping that one day we get to that place. So just know that when you watch, you're just seeing kind of like a little moving, a little rotating, a little lazy Susan action going on. But some of those purses are fabulous. And I've got my like, oh my goodness, like if I ever won the lotto, this is the purse that I would have. So do join us. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so you know that we love national days. So we're just going to cover some real quick ones coming up. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and just start with the list of them. So the list of them is, what do we got? What do we got? Okay, yes. Oh my goodness. Encourage a Young Writer Day. I love this one because to me is like, I love the young people, the next generation, pouring into them, helping them develop their gifts. It's one of the things that our magazine does, Team Fashioned Magazine. Most of our writers and most of the staff or the team are between the ages of 12 and 19. And there are some adults that we come alongside and we help, but we really do invest in these young writers and say, hey, like, what is some of the content? What are the things? And we let them tell us what their peers want to hear, the topics that their peers want to cover. And then we just help them to, you know, when they're writing, and if they have questions, we're available to them. But these girls are the ones that are doing the writing. So I'm excited to say, if you have any young ones, maybe ages 12 to 19, and they want to write, be a part of a magazine, well, then send an email to us, either editor@fashionedmagazine.com, editor@fashionedmagazine.com, or just email our show, a new thing.live. Let me see if we can pull that up. A new thing.live@gmail.com, a new thing.live@gmail.com. And that is to say, hey, I've got a young person who's interested, and we'd love to see how maybe they can partner or join your team. We really look forward to those opportunities. And so it's National Encouraging a Youth Writer Day, and also on the 11th, National Farm Animals Day. National Barbershop Quartet. I love me a good barbershop quartet. In fact, I was trying to get some friends of mine that they used to do the barbershop quartet back when I was in high school. So I'm going to see if we can still work that out sometime this month. And then we've got National 8-Track Tape Day. Hello. How many of you remember 8 tracks? What 8 tracks did you have? Write it in the chat. Sister girl here, I had Saturday Night Fever soundtrack and the Commodores for sure. I have the Commodores, and I'm trying to remember what other 8 tracks I did have growing up. So write down if you had an 8-track or if you had 8 tracks. Tell us which ones you had. We want to know. I just love that. And then last but not least, it's National Pet Day. It's National Pet Day. And we are huge animal lovers here. We love the animals. We want to make sure animals are being treated well and with, humanely. Doesn't matter even if they're on a farm and they're giving us their cheese or their milk or their eggs or even eventually their meat themselves. They should be treated with just with love, right? Not all crammed in a cage and not falling over each other because all these hormones are being injected in them and all of these things. So, and of course, if you have your own animals, just love them on the 11th. Maybe give them that extra little treat or give them a little massage. Maybe buy them a little collar with a little rhinestone or something just to let them know you love them. And if you have a pet, tell us their name. Tell us their name. We want to say, oh my goodness, okay, we're going to maybe give them a shout out on National Pet Day. Maybe send in your pictures and tag us something. But we want you to celebrate your pets on the 11th as well. Okay, now the one that I didn't mention, and I'm not even going to mention it because of time's sake. There are so many fun days coming up though, but the one that I will mention is National Girl Me Too Day. Girl Me Too. Now this is fun because this is really a day where women are empowering women. And, I'm all about collaboration. And hey, I see your strengths, girl. I see that you're a woman of character and you've got strengths and you've got gifts and you've got talents, whether you believe that you do or not. And so this day, National Girl Me Too Day, is a day where we just come alongside different women, sisters, business owners, just women in your life and saying, hey, you're an overcomer. You've overcome some of these things and I'm so proud of you. And, if you could do it, I could too. Or if there's something that I can do that you don't think you can do, well, yes, you can too, right? So maybe send a little greeting card to somebody, maybe text somebody, maybe do a little post about them and then just say, hey, this person doesn't know how much I admire them. And I've never even really told them how much I admire them, but I admire them for this. This is who they are and this is what they do. So that's Girl Me Too Day. And I think we need to do a lot more of that, not just as women, but really people in each other's lives. So now, last but not least is National Change Your Name Day. That's on the 9th, okay? So does everybody love their name? Do you love your name? If there's a name that you could be, what is that name? Write it down in the chat. We want to know. I've always loved my name. Cyndi, Cynthia means bringer of light. And a lot of times our names do represent who we are and what we do. And so, I do hope you love your name. But for those of you that don't love your name, or maybe you get kind of tired of people mispronouncing your name, maybe make that day a name day for you where you change your name and you say, today, can you call me Christina? Or can you call me whatever? Can you call me Cher? I don't know. So that's National Change Your Name Day or National Name Yourself Day. So make a fun day out of that day. I always love making fun out of stuff anyway. And then we announced last week that on the 2nd of April was International Children's Book Day. And so I am so excited to announce some great news about a book that I've been talking about for quite some time. And I'm going to talk a whole lot more about that in just a few minutes. But before we do, one really quick message from us to you. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. It's an all-new season 2, bringing you now more than ever before. You'll be inspired. Welcome to A New Thing Live. Now you get to lead everybody. Girl, you leading everybody doing that.
Let's just go for it.
Yes! You'll be strengthened.
When you're living in your sweet spot, you have the greatest impact in the world and with the other lives that you're in contact with. Purpose, connection with your people.
We get real.
The King family legacy.
Yeah.
And we work in that manner towards human dignity from the womb to the tomb, loving each other.
And we have fun.
I've seen every Star Wars, but I do not like Star Trek.
Oh, no, we got a problem now.
We're going where we've never gone before, and we're inviting you to come along. It's season 2 of A New Thing Live on Monday nights. Subscribe today. Yes, subscribe today. Isn't that fun? I'm telling you, I'm loving the music. I mean, it's not like it's new. We've had it before, but for some reason, I'm just like, I'm feeling it. I am feeling it. And I see tonight's guest in the backstage. She's doing this. So she's feeling it too. She's feeling it too. So, hey, guess what? Oh my goodness. So tonight, I didn't really go into detail about tonight's episode, but it's a fun episode because we're talking about something that finally happened. It's something that I've actually given birth to. And for those of you that have carried projects for maybe, well, of course, for babies for, 7, 8, 9 months, however long you've carried your child. But for those of us that have never been with child, but we've carried projects or publications or media, I'm excited to announce that our book, A Tale of a Praying Princess, it is finally here and it is available. Hallelujah. On Amazon. It is available on Amazon and not for Kindle. This is actually the paperback. It's now available on Amazon. It is A Tale of a Praying Princess. And so I really felt like let's give a little bit of honor to where honor is due. And I'm not even talking about me as the author. I'm just saying, sometimes people will say, how did you launch your magazine? I have people ask me all the time, how did you launch your online YouTube channel? I have these different questions that are asked of me so frequently. And so this is my first book on my own. Now I've actually published a book because in the midst of all of this and all of the different inquiries on like, well, who do you know about this and publishing and this and this and that, A, B, C, and D? Can you read my manuscript? Can you prove my manuscript? Can you, I'm already publishing our magazine. So in the midst of all this crazy, I actually did launch a publishing company. I know, crazy. But it's called New Gal Publishing. Now, it's not something that I'm really even creating a website for. It's not anything that I'm like promoting online. If you happen to be somebody that would like to use our services, great. But this was really more to help push me in all of those things that are in all the little books and all the little titles that I have to just getting them going and getting them published and released. So we published A Tale of a Praying Princess. And so I'm excited. I have to say, we thought we were going to launch March 9th. And it didn't happen then. It happened on the 9th electronically and digitally. However, I still don't know what was going on at that point. And what I was looking at on the Kindle was terrible. So I unpublished it. And then by then it was too late. So many people were already excited about it. And they were saying, hey, where's the book? We're looking for it. And oh, the embarrassment and the like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. I can't believe that I, announced it and it wasn't even ready and all of these different things. So, not just myself, but I have another guest that's going to be joining us tonight as well to talk about just some of these hiccups that we go through. When we have something, we think we're going to do it on such and such a date. It doesn't either roll out the time that we thought it was, or it doesn't roll out the way that we thought it was. But what do? Do you stop? Do you stop and drop? Do you just not go any further? Like, what do you do? And so for me, that whole Kindle thing just was a hot mess. I was so discouraged. I literally could just see all my brain like just shutting everything down in terms of the book. I'm like, I'm shutting it down. I'm shutting everything down. But I do want to talk about it, but I do want to bring out a very special guest. Now, I do have to tell you before I bring her out, here's one of the things that I've noted. When you're launching or executing something that you've had in your heart for a while, timing really is everything. It really is everything. And so, I wrote this book in 2009. 2009. So that was like 12, 13 years ago. And then by the time I started to put some wheels to actually, okay, we're going to try and publish this thing, it was already 2020. Wait, we're in 20. It was 2021. It was last year. Well, I had by that point had been in relationship, a new girlfriend of mine that I had met, and we came to know each other in 2020. Well, when I came to know her, I had no idea that she did graphic design. I had no idea that this was anything she was passionate about. And so I'm going to let her kind of go into the story with me as well. But timing is everything. I didn't have an illustrator when I wrote the book in 2009, but by the time the book was ready to get published and start looking at releasing the book, she was now in my life. And I'm not going to hold you up any further because I want to bring her out here right away. Would you please help me welcome the one, the only, our illustrator for A Tale of a Praying Princess. She's a graphic designer and an illustrator for Teen Fashion Magazine. Please help me welcome Cynthia Zuniga. Girl, where you at? Where you at? There you are.
I really do love that music. I was like, I didn't think Cyndi can see me, and I'm like,
yeah, I saw you back there doing
yeah, I was like, yeah, I like this beat. So like,
It's fun. Well, welcome back. You're not a stranger to A New Thing Live.
No, this is
right. We had you when we were featuring your book, your Zoom Room book that you had illustrated. And you came on here and you were just sharing just about that whole process for you. And I just feel like you're in this whole new season of publishing and illustrating. I don't think you were there 2-3 years ago, right?
No, not at all. Not at all. That's why I was like, oh, I just like felt like my heart when, you said timing is everything. And it's absolutely right. It's in God's timing, everything.
Yes, it's so good. And I just want to congratulate you on your book, on our book.
Yes, our book.
On our book. I mean, it is here and it's like, you did this cover just so beautifully. I mean, this princess is so adorable. I just love her. There's so many things about her that I love, but I mean, everything from the castle to all the flowers going all the way back to in the field and the blueness of the skies. And then you've got the forest. I mean, it's just, of course, her little flock and then the streams of water. Just so beautiful, Cynthia. I just love your illustrating style. How long have you been illustrating? Like, how long would you say, okay, I can say I've been an illustrator now for a blank amount of time. How long has that been?
I think that would be 2 years really since I did the first book, Zoom Room.
Yes.
And then this year as well, I did True Finds Her Shoes. And now it's our book, Tale of a Praying Princess. So it's been only 2 years. I've always loved drawing, always, but I never saw myself as an illustrator at all.
Oh,
No.
I love that. So you've always loved drawing.
Yes.
So like how old were you when you realized, okay, I really like drawing, but did you ever think you would make a career out of it?
No, no. Since I was little, I always drew. I would even like decorate, you can say, the walls and the furniture with Sharpies. So I always like enjoyed drawing, even though of course I was already starting to design things. And I actually wanted to be a fashion designer when I was little. And but like you said, everything is in God's timing, and it wasn't. I honestly thought when I went to college, I wanted to do this fashion illustrator, but there were certain obstacles that I was going through in my personal life that
Okay.
kind of put a stop. And I said, no, I don't think this is a career for me.
Hmm.
But here, last year we did Teen Fashion Magazine. So,
Mhm.
sometimes it's not exactly how I pictured it to be, but I was still doing something with fashion and in a magazine.
Yes, I love that. And I mean, from the very first, the premiere issue to the most recent issue, I mean, everything that you've done has just been outstanding. And you put your heart into, I mean, I know it's a lot of work. And I don't know because I'm not an illustrator, but I know because
Mhm.
I am involved with design or video editing. And I just know those things take time. They take
Yes.
so much time. And even for me in releasing this book, it's interesting because this is the first book that I've written solo that's been
Yeah.
released and published. And I was a part of a group of women that a book was released last year. And then as a publishing company, I did have a client that we released her book this past November, which was Tomorrow Can Worry About Itself, which we are going to be giving her book away in May.
Yeah.
We have a couple of books of hers. So, but that was different because it
Mhm.
wasn't illustrated, it wasn't involving color. And so it was just white with text. And the only photos really, or the graphics on her book was the cover and then her photo.
Mhm. Mhm.
No problem. So
Yeah.
then now in this process, I'm like, no problem. Oh no, girl. You
Woo.
know.
Mhm.
I was your girl over here was struggling. I was
Mm.
struggling so hard. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Well, part of it as well as I was also writing another book
Yes.
for another client that I was working with, and it was his biography or his
Mhm.
autobiography. So that was like, even though I had my book, which in my heart was my priority, then all of a
Mhm.
sudden, this book, well, then the deadline was approaching. So then I had to put mine on hold and then go back to that book. And it was just like,
Yeah.
I was not sleeping at night because I would start on this like at night, like, 8, 9 o'clock at night. So I'd be working till sometimes 2 a.m. My
Mhm.
eyes were going cross-eyed.
Mhm. Yeah.
You start crying because you realize that everyone else
Yes.
who's a part of the project, they're all sleeping,
Yeah.
but not you.
Mhm. Uh-huh. I
It was
agree.
so hard. It was so stretching. And so when we didn't launch the book and release it on Kindle and electronically, I was like, oh my, I mean, it was the end of the world. It was so devastating for me
Yeah. Yeah.
because we had already been announcing it.
Mhm.
And then even so when we had I uploaded it and it was released on Amazon, but the Kindle version, and then I downloaded and I don't know what was going on. It was like all the layers were separated and I'm like, what is
Mhm.
this? Why what no. So I had to unlink it and unpublish it. And then you have all these people saying, well, where's the book? I'm looking for it. Oh Lord have mercy. Anyway, Praise the Lord. It is done.
Yes, yes.
Yes. It's like this weight has been lifted. And I'm so excited for young girls to read
Mhm.
this and to see themselves as Princess Samantha,
Yes.
but with their own, who they are, with their own identity, with their own gifts and
Mhm.
their own calling and unique things that make them specifically,
Amen.
uniquely who they are, right?
Yes.
What was the process like for you as well? Because I mean, you the illustrations are beautiful, and I'm not going to show any of the other ones that are in
Mhm.
the book so that people can buy the book and be excited. But I will do a little bit of a reading, just a
Mhm.
small bit of a reading, and then leave them to go to Amazon and get the book so that they can read the story, how the story ends. But what
Yes.
was that whole process like for you? Because we haven't talked about it as author and illustrator. Like, what's that process like on your end as we're working together and we're trying to fit the pieces together of your illustrations with my words?
Mhm. Yeah, so definitely I as an illustrator, I have to use my imagination, like, has to activate, right? So as I'm reading it, I honestly, I'll be honest, I picture myself as a child.
Okay.
Like, if I'm a child, what type of colors do I wanna see? Like, if I'm
Mm,
talking about a landscape, how is it gonna look like? And if you're
that's
saying it's spring or winter or, fall, I
mhm,
wanna feel like I'm in there.
that's good.
So I take it as, just I try not to make it's hard sometimes not to make it so
Mhm.
like an adult version because
Yeah.
sometimes you can be very critical on yourself when you're like, "Oh, this is so off," and
Mhm.
it's those minor little things where I, like, zoom in and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is off. This tree does not look like this." Um, but it is exactly like how you said it, it is all a process.
Mhm.
And just like you're learning, I'm learning too
Mm.
because every book that I've done has been different.
Okay.
Because in this book, that you wrote, I've never had to really draw animals or landscape. It was
Mm,
very just, it true is in her house. So it's
yes,
only
with
things
her
in the
little
house.
shoes and her little Zoom
Yeah.
classroom.
So the colors are very different. And here it's like, the palette has to be more natural.
Mhm.
So and even with that, I remember when we were exchanging images, like, "Hey, what type of, like, color palette are you looking at?" Because I wanted to have, like, a smooth transition to page.
Right.
And I think sometimes the most intimidating part when you, start something is just looking at an empty canvas. Right? It's and it just can be relating to anyone, like, you're looking if you're a writer or a teacher or, an author, like, you have this white canvas or a white paper, and it's sometimes you're like, "Where do I even start?" Have the idea, but sometimes you get intimidated, like, or, you kinda overthink it sometimes, and
Sure.
that can sometimes limit your creativity.
Mm,
Um, and also even, like, the season that you're in, right? You've never been in this season in your
mhm.
life, so it looks like something super new. But, that's why, before I even start any book, I pray right away to God. I say,
Yes.
"God, you illustrate it. You give me the colors, you give me the textures, the style that you want it to come out."
That's
Because
good.
I really, if it was just me, I would be overthinking every single page. Like, this isn't good enough, or I'm gonna be looking at other artists and be
Yes.
like, well, this art is way better than mine. I'm not
Mhm.
enough to illustrate that. But God, when I pray to God, He's like, don't look at other artists,
Good.
not in the way of like, of course, inspiration is great and admiring their work, but not comparing myself to them, you know. So it's just really like trusting God and having Him lead me and drawing.
That's so good. And thank you for bringing that up because I do have to say, when I wrote this book in 2009, that's exactly what happened in a sense. It's
Mhm.
actually it was one of my niece's birthdays.
Yeah.
And I feel like she really liked princess type things. And so I was trying
Mhm.
to buy her, I was looking for like a really cute fairy tale book. And in my mind, I knew what I wanted, and
Mhm.
I was at the bookstore, I was at Barnes& and Noble and all these different bookstores, and I just couldn't find her the fairy tale book that I wanted. And then as I was looking at them, it was like, "Well, gosh, these are so scary." It's like, well, the witch
Mhm.
and the spell and the evil, and then they took the bite, and then they died, and, you know, I was like, I think she was about this is 2009, so
Mhm.
maybe she was turning 3-ish.
Yeah.
I'm not doing the math right now, but I just thought, I can't give that to her and have them read that to her before she goes to bed.
Yeah.
So, I just then all of a sudden this idea dawned on me, like, "Well, just
Mhm.
write her a story." And then I
Yeah.
said, "Okay, well, if I write her a story, I'm gonna need to write one for the other kids too."
Mhm.
No,
Mhm.
but it was her birthday, so hers was the first one I was working on, and I just said, "Okay, Lord, like, help me to write it." And I didn't do anything right then and there, and then all of a sudden, it was just this one unction, like, right now.
Mhm.
And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I opened up my laptop and I sat down, and it literally all came in one sitting from beginning to end. Now,
Wow.
throughout the years, it would change a little bit. I would read it and I would
Mhm.
tweak it here and there, and then like what you said, I was like, "Oh, that's kind of the way an adult would say it. How would it be if it was to a child?" And so I started tweaking some of that. Not too much, but because I still wanted
Mhm.
an engaging story, like,
Yeah.
once upon a time, in a land far away, that kind of a thing. So it still needed to have that element of fairy tale. But then I was like, well, I'm a woman of faith. And
Mhm.
to me, there's nothing more faith building than when I'm reading like David when he's,
Yeah.
when he's looking at the giant and saying, "Oh no, like your God is not even the real God." Like, no,
Mhm.
you're an uncircumcised Philistine. Like, no, my God. And so my mind was just kind of pulling from different
Yeah.
scenarios and different stories. And it just all came down at that one sitting. I would say that would be, for anyone that wants to write a book or they feel like they're supposed to write a book, is do that. Like, pray, ask
Mhm.
the Lord, "Okay, I want to do this." Write down the concept and then just ask him to help you. And that's what I did with the book Promises. When I was invited to be a contributing author, I knew that I was supposed to be a part. And then I said, "Okay, Lord, I've got all these other things that I'm juggling." And I said, "So I'm just going to trust you and I'm going to ask you to
Mhm.
help me write it at the appointed time." And then it was just one evening and it was like, right
Yeah.
now. And I did. I sat down, opened my laptop, and it was finished that night, and
Amen.
no toiling. It wasn't this like,
Yeah.
no, it was
Uh-huh.
came with ease, just, like what you're saying. And so, anybody, any creative, really all the creative gifts are from the Lord. I mean, they come
Mhm.
from him. So he's the one that gives you the gift, and he's the one that we should be asking how to use it.
Exactly.
And
Amen.
I love
Mhm.
that you said that, that
Mhm.
you help me with the textures. I mean, because what you did is just absolutely beautiful.
Mm.
Just so much fun and such a fun character. um I, like I said, I'm not going to bring all of the pictures up, but I definitely do, want to read a little bit
Yes.
from it, and then we'll talk a little bit about, I don't know, what part should I read?
Let's see. The part
Not the end.
No. H How about the, where it's getting kinda to the dawn, like the sun is setting, like it's getting
Okay.
dark,
Oh
and
yeah, in the
then
in the beginning.
it's getting towards the end. I don't wanna give it
Oh,
away too much,
okay, let's see.
but she says a prayer, during, like, that time that she's faced with an obstacle. and
Okay.
she's on a cliff.
Yep. So let's see here. Let me get that. Okay. Yep. I think this is the part.
Well, for me personally, that's one of my favorite parts of the book.
Okay. Then that's the part that I'll read. You mean the whole thing wasn't your favorite?
Yes, overall, for that one
No,
specific.
I'm
Yeah.
kidding.
I was
I'm
like,
kidding.
yes, girl, Princess Samantha, you pray.
Yes.
You receive God's word.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to start but I'm not going to go into the other parts. So here we go. I'm just going to start here. So before she knew it, this is Princess Samantha. She began to hear a sound. It wasn't a sound she'd ever heard before. And at the first hearing of it, it alerted her. Maybe I should have used the word alarmed. See, here I go. Here's the editor in me. Sorry, people.
You're like, side note.
Version 2. Oh my goodness. It was a loud and hungry growl. Oh no, she thought to herself. This can't be good. As soon as those words came out of her mouth, she saw her. It was the grizzly bear and was standing right in front of her. She was so close, she had even wondered if she was smelling the meal that the bear had just finished eating. Once again, she was trapped. And this time, it was her, Shep, and all of her sheep. Just as fear was about to overtake her, she remembered she had 2 weapons, her authority and a sword. It wasn't just any sword. What she had was the sword of the Spirit, God's word. She remembered she needed to speak it out and that it would not return to the Lord empty or void. Should I keep going? Okay, one more paragraph. Remembering the times God had saved her before and that he was her shield, she shouted to the bear with confidence, yelling, "You come to me to instill fear and torment, but I stand before you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hand, and you shall be struck with fire, that all the earth may know that the God of Israel is the one true living God." Because it was later than usual and the princess had not yet returned home, the royal family had sent the kingsmen on their horses, along with some of the villagers, to search for her, knowing that the grizzly bear had been out more frequently and appeared to be very, very hungry and angry. And should I end right there?
Yes.
Okay. To be continued.
Dun, dun, dun.
Get the book to see how it ends and to see how it starts. And of course, to experience Cynthia's gorgeous illustrations. But just such a fun book. And I'm excited for the other ones that are going to follow. It's like, oh no, here we go. Now I'm, having to pull the other nieces and nephews out. And I go, okay, let's just pace ourselves. I'm thinking one a year.
Right.
But truly, I mean, how much fun is that? And we are going to be doing giveaways this month. Yes. In fact, the last week of this month, the entire week is National Princess Week for the last week of April. So we are going to be having some fun giveaways. And I think you're going to help me figure out how to do some kind of a challenge, right? Talk to us about that challenge, because I think that is so fun. What are you thinking? Like, what do you have in mind?
Yeah, because it was like literally it was like a couple minutes, but before we were talking about making this video, and I'm like, A Tale of a Praying Princess. So of course I read the book, and there's a lot of bravery, right? As this little girl, and she's, growing up, she's showing so much bravery and courage and all the things that she's going through. So I felt like God was kind of telling me, hey, make that a challenge. Like, I want to hear how, other girls, whether, little girls, even like, toddlers to, younger girls, even parents that are reading
Yeah.
this book to their child, like, what are, as a parent, what are some brave moments you've seen your child go through?
That's so good.
Yeah.
I love that. So we will definitely be having that, like maybe the princess challenge or the bravery challenge. So we're things are still developing because
Mhm.
this just dropped, right? And so there's all these other fun things that we have going on, but we are going to be doing giveaways this month of the book. And we will be having some fun princess challenges and some other things, and maybe some events, maybe some readings down the road. I don't know. But we
Mhm.
want it to be fun, and for these young girls to have this whole idea of what it means to be a princess, and to even the whole idea of royalty. I
Mhm.
think sometimes it's so foreign to us because of the era that we've been raised in.
Yes.
Now, I did end up, the church that I went to years ago, they were really big on tea parties. And so,
Mhm.
teacups and teapots and all that, but and Victorian this and that. But prior to that, I never grew up with that. So
Yeah.
I have so many teapots now and teacups, and I just love that whole idea. But I feel like there's just this lost art. I do have a dear friend of
Mhm.
mine who she runs a tea company called Rent a Tea Party, and I would love
Oh,
to have her.
wow.
Yeah, have her back on here to talk to us about how do you do tea right, how do you
Right.
do tea wrong, or just some of the art of tea. You
Pinky up.
Yeah. Yes, pinky up. But we're used to doing this pinky down, like call me.
Right.
But yes, pinky up when you're having your tea. But well, this has been, wonderful. And, I just want to encourage people that, if they have a project or something like this that they're in the middle of launching, or that they have this idea and then they just feel stuck, there is a waiting period. There
Mhm.
is a waiting period, and to
Mhm.
me, that waiting time gives you time to develop fully, to understand like what it is that you're creating and who's the target audience, and what
Mhm.
is the voice, what is the point of view, and just know who your audience is. I think that's number one. So there's so many things that you can figure out in that waiting period. And, are there other branding things that are supposed to be a part that
Mhm.
coincide with this product, right? But one of the things that I realized, even as the book was in the final stages, is I was feeling like, oh my goodness, this baby just needs to come out,
Yeah.
you know. But I was thinking about, a woman when she's about to go into labor, but even before then, she has her doctor who's coaching her, who's counseling her.
Yeah.
Maybe she's got Lamaze coaching, maybe it's this type of an expert in how to eat right, and then the nutrition, and you really have these people coming around you, and they're coaching you,
Mhm.
experts in a sense, that are going to assist you to how to bring this child in with ease, and so that there is no death in the process, right, to you or to the baby, so that you're both healthy at the end of this experience, and bringing this child
Mhm.
into being.
Mhm.
And I felt like, for me, you were that. As the illustrator, you were one of those individuals that, because you didn't just look at it like, oh, I'm illustrating and that's it. It was like, okay, what do we need to do? Like, do you want me to come over there? Like, how do we get this baby out?
Yeah.
And my dear friend Diana Hogue, who helps
Mhm.
to proof and to edit, and another round of editing, or even Pastor Kimberly, who was like, she was the whole reason why this whole thing
Yeah.
even got published. she
Mhm.
she read it after a conversation we had, and she said, why is this in your email? Like, this needs to go out. She's like, my granddaughter would have me read this to her over and over again. Cindy, this needs to go out. And I was like, oh,
Yes. Yeah.
and so even though you have these things that you've done, I think sometimes there's fear. I had 2 TV show
Mhm.
concepts that I had registered with the Writers Guild of America, and I had pitched them to a production company, and I didn't have a literary agent. And within 6 months, 9 months really, by the time it went on air, from the time I pitched it to this production company, one of those TV shows was on air on Fox that summer of 2010. And I was devastated. And then again, it happened. It was with a different individual. This person just did not, he was not an upright person in the industry. And I didn't know that he'd been fired from as a producer from a mainstream ABC channel show. And I didn't know this. And so needless to say, that ended up somewhere else. And so after those two experiences, I never again wanted to put my stuff out there. I was like, no. So I think all of it, I just started hoarding and keeping, and really, if I'm going to be honest, that's why it was for my niece, but I knew that it probably had some potential, but I was just too afraid to do anything about it and do anything with it. So, if that's you, and if you're, if you're somebody that you've experienced something similar, or you're just freaking out, you don't want to share your stuff, I get it. But the world needs it. How will they hear without a preacher, right? How will they know? How will they read it if it's not put out there? How will they hear it if it's not recorded and produced? So, right, whether it's a song or a podcast or an album or a blog, or maybe you have an eye to take photos, or maybe you want to launch an e-course. I mean, there's so many ideas. Maybe you want to start coaching. There's so many ideas: graphic designing, video editing, filming. Of course, I'm kind of more talking about to the creative, but maybe you even want to go back to school and you're in your 60s. Do it. I mean, that desire is still there for a reason. And then you will need help, though. Get those people in your life that are going to speak life to you and help you get from this point to that point, from point A to point B, until you keep going from step to step, from place to place, from glory to glory, right?
There was something that I remember we were talking about, and you're like, that's something that God had put in your kind of your heart and your mind. It was like puzzle pieces. Right?
Yes.
Like you have an idea, but it's not just all you, right?
Yes.
Your other people are like those other puzzle pieces that will connect with you, so you can see the bigger picture. 'Cause sometimes we just know this amount, right? You only have like these puzzle pieces, but they don't seem to form what I'm seeing, right? But then other people come and they kind of bring their puzzle pieces, and you're like, whoa, they're all connecting. And then I understand what the bigger picture is.
That's so good. I'm so glad you said that. Yes, a lot of times the things that are in our heart are not just for us to do by ourselves. You really do need like your tribe of people for that particular project, and God will bring the right people that you flow together, and it's like, okay, yes, this, yes, that, but you're right. Partnerships. I was always reminded of that one teaching. And of course, just watching The Chosen recently, again, this particular episode is when Jesus said, well, put your nets down for a catch. And so Peter throws in the one net. He doesn't do nets. He only did one net. But then it said that it was such a great catch, like his boat couldn't hold all of that. So he's calling over, and it says that the partner, like other partner boats that were partnered with him, other partner fishermen came and helped him to be able to not sink, And so I think there's something that's so important about partnerships. Right. I love that you said that, because everybody, I don't have I don't know how to do what you do, but I needed that. I needed a Cynthia Zuniga on this book. And I also loved, just how we were able to work and talk through things together, and sometimes it was things that I hadn't thought of. But you're looking at it from an illustrator's point of view. Just so good. Such a good point.
Yeah. But we were able to connect like a puzzle piece, you know? We were
Mhm.
like kind of connecting ideas and thoughts, and I think that's great when you're like connecting with other people because you get a different perspective,
Mhm.
and it's just so powerful when we pray together, right? Because it's not just saying, it's whatever I think. It's like, no, you're asking God for that discernment, for that wisdom, for that, idea or illustration.
Mhm. That's so good. So good. Well, is there anything else that you can think to add before we wrap this whole segment up? And it's just been fun for me. I hope everyone else has enjoyed it as much as we have. Because
Yes.
we're saying, oh, we are babies here.
Mhm.
But I think you can
It's due
still.
date, it's for real. No more delays, it has a due date, it has a due date.
That is absolutely right. That is absolutely right. But is there anything else that you want to share with us, Cynthia, before we wrap this up? And then, of course, we are going to have your information as well on our website. So people can, see your work and follow you
Mhm.
on Instagram. And then we are going to also put up your Zoom room
Oh.
at there because there's 2 books now.
Yes, and then True finds her shoes.
And True finds her
It's
shoes.
a
But
bilingual book. So
Bo, I
True
love it.
habla español.
True habla español. I
Habla
love
español,
that.
True. Mhm.
So True finds her shoes and
Uh-huh.
and then Zoom Room, which is
Zoom.
also about True.
Mhm.
We will have those books as well up on our website as well as your information. But is there anything else that you want to share or say to our viewers before we say goodbye?
Yes. So I think like we were talking about, something that's new, something that's empty. We look at something that we've never been through before, and it looks
Mhm.
very scary. You don't even know what tools to use. You don't know where to go or the steps to take. And
Yeah.
sometimes you want to, like you said, you want to kind of throw it away and be like, I'm done. I don't want to go through this process. It's so tedious. It's so time consuming.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think in these process, it's always learning patience. You gotta
Yes.
be patient with yourself, with the
Good.
people you're working with. And I think that's what I've been learning in every all the
Mhm.
illustrations I do, because every page has its own process. It's not the same.
Oh, that's
And there's times where,
good. Wow.
we wanna like do it at my timing. And I'm like, no, 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 it has to be what God's asking us to do.
Mhm. I'm
Um,
writing that down. Every page has its own process. That's
mhm.
good.
And I'm like trying to get my tablet back. Oh gosh, I think it died. Oh no, it's back. And I'm already ready for National Pet Day.
What?
Um, Frijolito's gonna be. I'll definitely tag you in Frijolito's page or post. But I
Please
do
do.
want to say that we need to have faith,
That's good.
because wherever it seems empty or that you don't know what to do,
Yep.
put some faith, and then God will guide you with the right tools to
Yeah.
navigate through that process.
That's so good. And that is one of the things that, as I was even writing about this process, I said, even when there's obstacles or things um, that are not moving forward by the date or the deadline you thought, hold fast to
Mhm.
what you know to be true.
Yeah.
You got to hold fast to it and say, you know what? Even if I need to take a breather, which is what I needed to do, and I almost felt
Mhm.
like, almost like a lady who's been in labor for a long time. Like at some point, she needs a little bit of a break. She needs a little bit of a respite, right?
Yeah,
So I needed
exactly.
to stop, put it away, and I just needed to focus on other things as I was, praying and asking the
Mhm.
Lord for the wisdom and how to go back to finish.
Yeah.
And I really leaned on him heavily. It's like,
Mhm.
Lord, you gave me this. And then by the wisdom of my leader and my pastor, this seemed right and we're moving forward in this direction. And it's just been like this beautiful, wind behind it. But this last push I was hitting these walls, and I just had to go back to what I knew to be right and what I knew to be true. And then I said, okay, Lord, like, I'm ready. I know you're going to give me the wisdom.
Yes.
And I was receiving wisdom from him. It was just like, I was trying to do the Kindle, and then it was like paperback. Like, oh, okay. So then I worked on the paperback, and then, he was showing me how and which, using InDesign and just these different things. He was speaking to me because it was not originally created in InDesign. So it was just like, okay, thank you so much for that. And so just really being willing to do the work, even if it seems harder. You have to be willing to do whatever it takes. If you believe in this project, you have to do what it takes to get it done.
Exactly.
Right. So, and, but yeah, thank you so much for that. I think absolutely patience, faith, having the right people in your corner, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Sometimes people don't want to ask for help. No, don't be afraid to ask for help. You don't know everything. You don't have all the wisdom. You don't have all the insight. And so ask for help. Ask for help, and I remember when I was publishing my first book, Dawn's book, I needed a little bit of help from a friend of mine who she had published a couple of books, and her husband sat with me. In fact, they recently launched their own publishing company too.
Oh, how cool.
I know. And so, but they were, I'm like, okay, I need a little bit of help, but you help each other out. When she needed to launch her podcast, she said, can I meet with you? I need questions answered because I don't know how to launch a podcast. So, be willing to help and pour into people when you have what they need, help them, and, so I was not afraid to ask for help. I'm like, I need help.
Exactly.
I need help. But now it's done. And then again, just if you guys remember that timing really is everything. Sometimes we want something to be hatched before it's time. And, in a lot of cases, babies that are born prematurely, they do end up surviving, but it can be detrimental, to them when they're little. Of course, as they start to grow, then they start to grow into that, what was already awaiting for them.
Yeah.
So let patience have its perfect work, and that's okay. And the other thing is, if it doesn't launch by your deadline and your timeline, like, let it be. Let it be, because a launch is better than no launch. So launching your product is better than not launching at all. So let go of some of those external things that sometimes we hold on to. And it's like, okay, yes, there was a little bit of embarrassment because we didn't launch the day that we said. It's okay. It's launched now, and it's out there now for the world. And we're so excited. We're so excited. So, well, Cynthia, thank you so much for just coming and hanging out with us tonight. And I'm going to say goodbye the same time you do. So we want to, I want to thank Cynthia Zuniga in front of everybody for being here tonight and just bringing her grace and her wisdom and her insight, her beautiful, gifted self that she is, with her cute little princess tiara that she's wearing. I got my little princess sleeve.
Yes, the sleeves.
I know we're feeling the princess thing.
It's true.
It's so true. But you guys, whether you follow us or this is the first time, we want you to connect with us. Follow us on Instagram. We're at A New Thing Live. Facebook, we're at A New Thing. YouTube, if you're watching us on Roku or Facebook, head on over to YouTube like now and do a search for A New Thing Live and hit the subscribe button. And then also anything we've talked about, or even if you want to know how to reach Cynthia, you have a prayer request, you need a little bit more information or insight on how to launch something or get something off the ground, email us at anewthing.live@gmail.com. And then, of course, we do want you to subscribe, and we are going to have Cynthia's information our books information on our website this week, towards the end of the week. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with us and for letting us celebrate our book. And we hope that you got something out of us sharing the process about how this book came to be. We love you. We believe in you. Remember, there is a new thing waiting just for you that nobody else can do, right, Cynthia?
Amen.
It's only for you. So if it's there and it's looking at you in the face, then say, you know what? I'm going to embark on this new thing. But have a great week. Remember to keep Ukraine in your prayers. We love you guys. And hey, I wanted to ask you, do you know what love and laughter have in common? Do you know? Well, if you don't know, then join us next week. Tune in, because next week guest is going to give you the answer to that question. Yes, I'm so excited. Have an incredible week. You guys are amazing. Thanks for hanging out with us. Don't forget to visit us on Amazon. Pick up your book and a copy for you and a neighbor, a niece, any one of those young little girls in your life. Pick up a copy for them, and we will see you next week on A New Thing Live. Have a great day. Are you ready?